Hey y'all, I'm back. Sorry that it took so long to get another video done, but I had a heck of a time. My throat is still just a little bit raspy, but I even had laryngitis. I don't know what it was. Nothing in my chest, nothing up here. It was all in my throat. Finally went to an ear, nose, and throat specialist, and he took care of it, where now I feel like I almost have my voice back. But it was weird, strange time. So, I mean, it was hard to teach, it was hard to talk to clients, all of that stuff. But anyways, we're back. Still want to promote the book. It's doing real well. Thank you guys that have bought it. Just about salon situations. Everything that happens in the salon is in the book. The last chapter is everything about color. And you may read it, that last chapter, and say, this is so basic. Right. That's what you need to know about color, is basics. Can you rattle off, you know, what the levels are? Can you rattle off what they're made out of? That's the basics that takes you there. All right? So anyways, it's a pretty good book. You guys pick it up. I appreciate it. Thank you for getting into our group, and we appreciate it. What I want to do real quick, because today we're going to talk about the wolf and the shag haircut. They're extremely similar. Extremely similar. You can actually take a shag haircut and make it into a wolf haircut by flat ironing it. You can take a wolf haircut, make it into a shag haircut by just giving it a little bit of curl. You don't see very many shag cuts without a little bit of movement, and that has to do with product too. So before we get started, because basically you can see the wolf haircut, I've got it sectioned out, and I'm going to do both for you so you can see it. You're going to draw it straight out from the flat part of the head. Now if you need me to review the different parts of the head, because this is flat, right? Look, flat before it starts going round, and then your fingers go round. That's the curve into the occipital. So, you know, we're going to use those terms. You're going to part it off at the parietal line because you want to separate that top as you do the bottom. The shag is going to have a little bit more layering to it. The wolf is not. And do you notice that these lines are coming down, and they're going to come down at an angle as well. So to do the cut, because it is a slight layering. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the cut with a zero. You guys know how to do a zero haircut. Center nape, side to side. You don't travel from the front all the way around to the back. And if you have one side longer than the other, where do you find it? Can anybody answer that? I've told you that several times. Where do you find it? It's at the nape, curve. Now see, that's a corner. That's where you're going to find it. Don't start cutting the front. Come back to the back. Hold your comb perfectly straight. Hold it at an angle, just exactly the way that is, and you're going to find a corner right there. Then you travel forward with it. So it's always center to front, or side to center. Front to center back. That's it. Now let's review a little bit on how to hold the shear, because I can tell you to hold it palm to palm. I can tell you to hold it palm up, palm down. That doesn't help. Because it can get confusing. So if you know, palm down is secondary. Palm up. Now do you see already that's confusing? Palm down, palm up. Is it up this way? No. So this is primary position. How do you practice this? To make sure you have a straight line, you close your eyes, you bring it straight up, you open it up and down, and then you look to see if your shear is still straight. This is what you're normally going to do along the side of the head, and possibly along the parietal line. Now when you get ready to get into the secondary position, you're going to do that on the bottom. Now see, I still have a little bit of a scratchy throat. That on the bottom and on top. Those are the only two spots that you use the secondary position. Here's the problem with the secondary position. Again, you're going to practice. If you have your elbow out, when you bring it down, do you see what happens? It's a natural movement. I'm not moving it that way. It's doing it by itself. Look at what happens as soon as I bring my elbow in. It becomes straight. So be aware of that. If you're not going to have your client stand up, and you're bending down to do this, That's exactly, it's a natural movement. So, and then the next one, of course, is extended, and normally that's done around the face framing. The other factor to this is going to be primary position, secondary extended. The direction of the shear. This is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to be talking about pretty much the primary and secondary position, maybe a little bit of the extended up in the front, but you're going to notice that the direction or the angle of the shear is what's going to be different. So do you see, I could tell you palm up, palm down, and then I could say, and hold your shear like this. But if you know that that's secondary position, boom, you got it. 45-degree angle up, 45-degree angle down. Same thing with the extended. 45-degree angle up, 45-degree angle down. Okay? And primary, same thing. Secondary, same thing. Just depends on what you want. Extended, same thing. So it's easier to understand. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to give her, and I'm just going to do pretty much a dry cut. I'm not going to worry too much about spraying it. So right at the center nape, let's take this off, hold it straight, and again, secondary position, take it straight across, travel around the head. You notice the comb now and the shear, secondary position. However, what direction are they going? You notice it's at a slight angle, traveling around the head form. I hope I don't cut myself. All right, I'm going to just turn her around here so I can do this side again. Secondary position. All right, I'm going to drop this, go ahead and finish that up because it's not going to take a lot. I've got my guide. Get rid of that. You notice I'm going side to center. I'm not traveling around. All right, and I'm cutting back, but I am still going side to center as far as the direction in the cut. Even though I'm cutting forward, my next section is coming to the center. Now I see that it's even. Hold it down, have a corner, and it's always amazing when you find that corner. Just make sure that when you're doing this, people tend that when they're doing the zero, they tend to pull the hair out in this direction. What happens when hair travels? Does anyone remember that? What's the term for that? When hair travels, it becomes what? Longer. So this would then start creating length because I have pulled it back. So you're going to get a little bit of an angle coming down instead of a straight bob coming down. All right. There you go. Secondary position. And like I said, I'm dry cutting it for a reason because you'll be able to see that shag. The shag, I'm going to be using a styling aid. I hope you can see it. I might be doing it to the side a little too much. So I want to make sure that you see it. Okay? Again, this is the flat part of the head. You see now the shear is traveling straight back instead of at an angle. Those are the only things that change. All right, just bring it on down. All right, let's make sure we're even. And I got this mannequin that I relieved my students from because I got these really nasty mannequins at one time. I have a corner back here, that's why that's just a little bit longer. You saw I went to the back, and now they're going to be even. Okay? It's even. Okay. Now, I'm going to take the top down. I have another one there. I'm just sticking these all over the place. I'm going to part her down the center. I've got one more. Okay. Part it down the center. Bring it down. Let's get its natural fall. I'm going to just look at it here. This mannequin is just kind of rough looking. It's actually a cap over like a bald head. Awful to work with when you're trying to teach students. Okay, now this, you notice I pull that back? No. Bring it straight down from where it grows. You pull it back, you're going to have it a little bit longer again. Get this. Always look up. Make sure that you're bringing that hair straight down. Okay, straight down. Keep it at the flat part of the head. In other words, I'm bringing it in this direction. And a few little scragglers here. Not anything to get too crazy about. So there's your 0. Just basically secondary position, side to center, side to center. Now what I'm going to do, we're going to do the wolf cut. So I'm going to bring this down because now I'm going to do it without sectioning. If you know where you're at, you know where you're going. All right, I'm going to stay within the parietal line, above it. I'm not going to go below it yet. I'm going to just go above it. All right, so I'm going to bring this mannequin down a bit. My cameraman could I'm going to give him time to adjust so he can see it and you can get a good view of it. All right, so I'm going to part it off just slightly behind the apex, not going into the crown. You remember where that apex is at? It's right there, the highest part of the head. All right, the crown starts in this area. So I'm just behind the apex, slightly above the vertex. Go back and review, right, on the different parts of the head form. So being exact on this is important. So I'm going to pie shape it out to the parietal line. And what am I going to do? I'm going to bring it straight out from the frontal area and directing it to the center. This is going to create that shag look. I'm sorry, wolf look. And you can already see that choppiness coming in. Now I'm going to go to the vertex. And I'm going to bring that to the same spot. Again, center, the nose is my guide. Slightly angled. All right, there's a slight angle. It's not straight up. All right, secondary position with the shear angled up. All right, now that's starting to wolf out a bit already, but you have to do a 0 first. I'll do the other side. Part it off to the parietal line, just right at the apex, the end of the apex. To the parietal line. I have my guide. Pick it up right there. I'm going to bring it and the exact same angle. You see the fingers? Secondary position, slight angle. Let's hope I don't cut myself. All right. Now, back around the curve of the head, but bring it only to that slight, I want to go ahead and call it the temporal area. See, I didn't take it straight down. This is at an angle. It has to be to create that look. Again, bring it up. Slight angle into the cut, secondary position. Now what we have here, what we have here is a bit of a corner. But because we did it at an angle, it's going to fit a little better, but I have a slight corner here. So what I'm going to do, you see this? I'm going to bring it straight forward. Do you see the corner? It's already there. We already knew it. Now instead of cutting it straight across, I don't want a hard line. If I use the primary position and cut it straight up, it's going to create a hard line. So I'm going to point cut it. That's going to just shag in. I'm going to bring it down a bit, bring it down, which is those lines right there. Again, a corner. See, short, short, long. And only cut the corner. There you go. That is your wolf cut in the front. How do we do the back? What do we need to do to the back? Okay, I'm going to part out the crown only. Now remember, that's going to start just right at the end of the apex. Come around into a perfect circle. And I'm going to bring that straight out. And this is going to create, and this time, again, I'm going to be using the secondary position, but look at the angle of the shear. All right, secondary position, angle of the shear is up. I'm not going to cut it straight across because it's going to be a hard line. You'll really be able to see that line down there. I don't want you to see it. So I'm going to point cut it. You can see that that's pretty choppy right there. Let it fall. Now where's the shortest part? Right here. That's where I held it. These are longer. Do you see that? You can measure that. Okay? So that's what we want. We end up with a corner here as well in this area. So this is where this comes down. And however, it's cut again at an angle. And again, point cut it. It doesn't need to be neat. It doesn't need to be clean. We just want it to look very wolfy, very choppy. And just point cut it. You're holding it at a 45 degree off the occipital into the nape. And actually at the nape, realistically, if you want to get down to the down and dirty, that's a 90 degree. 90 degree off the nape. That curves in, remember? It's a 45 degree off of the occipital. Let's get exact here. We want an exact haircut, right? Sorry, you guys. All right, so bring this out. Again, you see I'm going side to center. I did not travel around. You travel around, you're going to go longer. See? It just does it. It travels out. So I'm going to point cut it. Again, secondary, primary position. So this is your wolf cut. And you have to scatter it a bit to make it look like a wolf cut. You have to take this out. Now, where would we find a corner? Now you guys, I'm teaching you. Learn what you've done. Where would we find a corner, possibly? Look at these lines and you tell me where we would find a corner. There's two places. When hair travels, it gets what? Longer. So where did we cut? So therefore, where would it be longer? Let's talk about this. Okay? We cut here. We cut here. The longest point is right here. And what is that? OMG, is that a corner or what? You see that center point. Know what you're doing. Know where you're at. We need this corner for this cut. You're going to leave the corner for the wolf cut. Where's the other corner? Right here. There you go. Short, short, long. You can barely see it, but it's there. See it? There it is. And this hair travels up into it. I have it. But anyways, yeah, you're going to have a corner just on the lower part of the occipital area, slightly before you get into the nape. So this is the wolf cut. It's choppy, comes out. I didn't get rid of the corner on this side. Do you see the difference? Do you see by getting rid of that corner what this does? It really chops it down into it. Whereas, I've still got that corner right there to get rid of. Okay, I'm going to leave it for now because now I'm going to go into the shag cut. The shag cut is held just a little bit differently. All right? The shag haircut, done the same, slightly different. However, we're only going to part it off to the parietal line again taking a pie shaping. This time we're into the vertex. In other words, beyond where the comb leaves the head, let me show you. Where the comb leaves the heads, that's the end of the apex. We're going into the vertex, which is about an inch further down at that center crown. It's inside the crown, all right? So I'm going to pie shape it from the vertex to the parietal line. This time, instead of bringing it out at an angle, I'm going to bring it to the nose, very similar cut, and this time I'm cutting it straight out. And you'll see a little bit more. All right? I'm going to take the sides, however, and bring it up. Again, going back to the curve of the head, in other words, just right at behind the ear, and bring that straight out. And this time a hard line. Now this, if we had this curled, it would really look a lot choppier. Now, do you see another corner down there? Because we brought it up, so therefore the corner at the nape is going to show up. I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to slightly curve my comb. Do you see the corner? This time again, because I do want it soft, point cut. Just get rid of that corner. It doesn't have to be pretty. There you go. Just a slight corner still right there, traveling back. Point cut. So that's the difference between the two. You see, it's not as bushy as the wolf cut. The wolf cut is a little bit bushier. This, if it was curled, and as a matter of fact, in just a minute, I'm going to put some product on there so you can see just a little bit of it. Cameraman, back over by that station is a little small black jar. You can see it. It's right on top of that round thing. Okay, so now the back with the shag, again, we're going to come back in this direction but we're going to go into the crown as opposed to staying up within the, and we're going to go ahead and pick up along the flat part of the head and bring more out. You know, none of the companies pay me to do this, but there's certain products that we all love, not like, love. You see all these separate curls in my head. This is hot rollers, by the way. I don't have time to mess around with the curling iron and all that crap nonsense. So I just use hot rollers. I don't care if it's old. It's easy. I'd rather do other things in my hair. All right, so I'm going to bring it back to the occipital, slightly, just slightly, almost to the parietal line. And then again, this time, because we're doing, so you're going to see a little bit of a harder line, but brought everything back. And let me bring this forward. And get my guide straight. Okay, what position is this? Secondary. See, and this time it's straight up. Okay? Again, we have a corner. Bring it straight out. Point cut it just to clean it up, but still make it look nice. Go a little further back. Bring this up for the shag haircut. Now, with the shag, we want soft movement because it seems to be right at the lower ridge that it's brought out, and then you've got these little choppy layers. Well, we're going to pick it up at the lower ridge. All right, right at the center apex. I'm going to pick it up and take it back along, almost along the parietal line. See, there's your parietal line right there. Taking it back to the center crown, and I'm going to give it a solid line cut. And you're going to start seeing just a little bit more shape into it. Same thing here. And both of them are going to start with a 0. Now with the shag haircut, you are going to go in and get rid of that corner as well. With the wolf haircut, you're not. You want that length in there. So I'm bringing this to the center, again, right to the center crown. Vertical cut, straight up and down. And this time we're not worrying about being too soft. Now, people come in and say, I want 3 layers. That's how you get them. All right? There's the one layer. There's another layer. And then we have this down here. Now, if you want to blend, and we call it blend, then you would get rid of this corner, which is what I'm going to do right now, but I'm going to slightly elevate it to get rid of it. Short, short, long. Get rid of that corner. Now, you notice with the shag, all my cuts are solid. Solid line cuts. I'm not, there's very little point cutting in there. You want that little bit of a heavier look. I love the Sebastian line. I love the molding mud. I've got a corner. Do you see my corner right here? I hope you can see it. I mean, I can see it. See, it's not there. It's definitely here. So I'm going to pick this up, and there it is. How do you know? How do you know where the corners are? This I'm going to point cut because that's going up front. Okay, there's that corner. See it? I'm going to go ahead and bring it forward, and I'm going to cut it straight up. There you go. It's a little bit of a harder line, a little bit of a choppier line. I've got a corner again, and you can see them. But you got to turn your fingers to pull that corner out to create the blend. If I just pull it out like this and cut it, that's crazy. I don't want to do that. I want it to blend up. In other words, use this as a guide, and that shortest point there as a guide, and go ahead and take it off, and it's going to do what I want it to do. Okay. So the shag haircut, and like I said, if this was curlier, you'd be able to tell more. You saw what it did with the wolf cut, and it's all in angles, pretty much very similar, the same. Look at the hair. Where is it shorter? If it's shorter here, then they directed it in this area. If they direct it straight up, you're going to get a hard line right below the lower ridge. You don't want that hard line. You want it softer, so bring it out. All right? And you can always separate it. But I want to show you what this does. I love this product. It's a Sebastian molding mud.
We may need to do a stop-start.
Okay, how much time do I have?
3 minutes.
Oh, 3 minutes, we're okay. I'm just about done. Okay, so take it. That's all you need. Warm it up like your hands are really cold. And look at that separation. So if this hair was curly, you see that the shag is up here. The layers are down there. Okay? And if you had the wolf cut and you did this, those layers would travel all the way down and you would see it. I mean, I've got it all cut into a shag right now, but it does. It just, I love this stuff. It separates every curl, separates everything that you've done. And you can see that that's pretty shaggy. I could add more to the back, but it's wolfy and shaggy. Take care, guys. Hopefully we'll be doing something pretty soon again. Any questions, any comments, please say so. I want to go back to diagramming again. I know some of you have asked, send me diagrams. You know what? You don't learn if I send you my diagrams. Learn how to diagram. You write it down, travels up your arm into your brain. God bless.